All right, welcome back to the TCI Studios. We're going to give you this week's edition of our RecruitCast. Gavin Oliver, recruiting guru, recruiting analyst. Any other names you want me to give you?
I think that about covers it. Reporter, writer, right?
Reporter.
There's a couple more, yeah.
All right. Going to try to be on a regular schedule, give you guys one of these every week. And we haven't done it yet this week, so we wanted to make sure we took time out this morning. Been some movement on a couple of the guys in the 2020 class and, a couple of the guys in the future class, the 2021, 2022. I guess let's start off, Gavin, talking about five-star who was here for the All-In Cookout. Hadn't been here, I think, before that, until January for the Elite Junior Day. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Eric Gilbert, five-star tight end / receiver, a guy that we have raved about. We've seen him, I think, in 2 combines, saw him out in Texas opening finals. He's a freak of an athlete. Could he play receiver? 100%.
Yeah.
And be a great receiver.
For sure.
Could he play tight end? 100% and be a great tight end.
Yeah.
And it sounds like now Clemson's talking to him about doing a little bit of both. Talk to us about the latest on Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert, as mentioned, one of the top overall players in the country, regardless of position. But he's definitely the nation's #1 tight end. Clemson's talking to him about maybe lining up in the slot, being used as a kind of a weapon that's not just got his hand down in the dirt, but a guy that they really use in the passing game. I think a lot of schools are kind of pitching in that way too. That appeals to him for sure. He wants to be a weapon in the passing game, pass catcher. He's not. Whoever signs him is not going to be using him as their primary blocker. That's not what he's. That's not what his strong suit is. I mean, it's catching the ball and making plays, and he's got the frame, the size, the athleticism. He can do it all. He's going to be a huge, big-time get for whichever school gets him.
He's a great skills as far as going up and getting the ball, and he's just so big and physical. I don't know how a DB is going to match up against that.
No, like just as you said, a matchup nightmare. I mean, linebackers can't cover him. Cornerbacks don't have the size to cover him. Safeties, same thing. So he's going to be able to run past the bigger guys, the linebackers that try to get him, or he can just jump over the defensive backs that try to cover him. So he's really a matchup nightmare, and he's going to be able to exploit defenses that way for whichever team he winds up playing for.
We've thought he's been a long shot. He's been giving Clemson some attention and some look. Getting him here for the All-In Cookout was big, and we talked about how that will hopefully set up a visit for an official visit. Yep. It seems like post-visit, some of the things he's been saying, it seems like Clemson did make up some ground on the others during that visit.
Yeah, based on what we heard, as you said, we told you guys going into the visit that there was a ways to go in this recruitment, going to the cookout visit, there was a ways to go, but that getting him on campus was a big deal, and that it would help the Tigers potentially set up to get an official visit down the road. And based off of what we heard, we kind of feel good about Clemson's chances right now of getting that official visit down the road, because from everything we've heard, all the feedback we've gotten on him has been very positive. We really think Clemson helped themselves with the visit. We're not going to go as far to say that they just suddenly took the lead and they're the overwhelming favorite by now by any means, but we definitely think they helped their case, the Tigers, and we think he really would, the family vibe, the atmosphere he got at the cookout, we think that really appealed to him. He likes the vibe there. I think it's something different to him than he's experienced at other places. Clemson was a long shot, like we said, going into it, but we think maybe a little bit less of a long shot now after what we've heard.
Safe to say we still feel like Georgia's the team to beat? I
think so, safe to say that. Tennessee's another school heavily in the mix. His quarterback at Marietta High School, Harrison Bailey, is committed to the Volunteers, so that's definitely a big, whatever school he goes to, the quarterback situation is going to be a big deal, something that he's going to look heavily at, and he's got a guy that he already knows and has chemistry with at Tennessee. But
DJ's working him hard.
DJ's working him hard, and he unfortunately wasn't able to be around DJ at the cookout, but DJ's definitely working him. But I think right now it's still safe to say that Georgia's the front runner. But
all right, let's move on to another 2020 guy, EJ Williams. What's the latest on his announcement plans?
Yep, EJ, who was also at the All-In Cookout, he told us that he's not sure yet whether he is going to announce on Twitter or announce as a press conference. He would like to do a press conference and kind of get that publicity. But it's on a Saturday, August 24th is when he's planning to announce, on a Saturday following one of his team's Friday night games.
At Hoover.
So logistically it may not make sense, and I think he's realizing that a little bit, because EJ told us it's looking like he may just announce on Twitter because he doesn't know how to go about setting that press conference up. So that's the latest. We'll keep you updated on what we find out as far as that. But right now, it seems like Twitter might be more likely at this time.
So we've been talking about how we'd be down there on August 24th. Now we may not be down there if he decides to announce on Twitter. We won't make that trip, but we will make a trip as part of our Tour of Champions to go by and see him play this season.
For sure. And Twitter or live press conference, forecast is sunny either way.
Sunny
from
forecast.
TCI. So.
Social media sunny or in person sunny.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Will Shipley. Prospect that was on campus. He's 2021.
2021.
Number one all-purpose back in the country.
Number one.
Was here for the Clemson camp. Give us the latest on Will.
Yeah, here for the Clemson camp, number one all-purpose back, 2021 class from Matthews, North Carolina. Goes to Weddington High School. He's a guy that can catch balls out of the backfield, that can run, hence why he's an all-purpose back. He can do it all. Will told us, we broke the news, hopefully you saw our story recently this week, that he told us that he's going to be at the Texas A&M game on September 7th, the Clemson versus A&M game, which it's a big deal getting him back on campus because this will be his first time at a Clemson game. He's been
probably the biggest game of the year as far as home games.
Probably the biggest game of the year. He's been to camp, as we mentioned. He's camped in consecutive summers. But this will be his first time getting to experience the atmosphere in Death Valley. And as for anybody who's been to a game there, especially a game of this magnitude for Texas A&M, you know how appealing that can be to prospects. And we expect Shipley will come away impressed, like most of the guys do. So that's a big deal getting him back on campus. He also told us that Notre Dame versus USC, Southern Cal, clarify that. But he also will be at that game this year. That's the only other visit besides Clemson.
Notre Dame, right?
At Notre Dame, yep, in October, I believe. That's the only other game visit that he has set in stone right now besides Clemson and Notre Dame. He also told us that he might make it to the Alabama Dukes. He's an opener in the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. But
he's getting recruited heavily by the in-state schools, but it looks like he's giving the out-of-state schools a pretty good look.
For sure. It should be noted that both of his parents are NC State alums. Shipley's parents, both of them went there. And we asked Shipley about that, how that influences recruitment. And he told us that it's kind of bittersweet for him. It's sweet because when he goes on NC State's campus and his parents are with him, he looks at the smile on their faces and kind of gets a little sentimental towards that. And he knows they love seeing him there being recruited by the Wolfpack, and they know a bunch of people there tailgating. So when it makes them smile, it makes him happy. But at the same time, he says that this is a decision. He's going to make a selfish decision because ultimately it's up to him what he wants, only what he wants, not what his parents want. So it sounds like, while that is certainly a factor that his parents are going to NC State, it's not going to be the overriding factor in his decision, but it's something to certainly keep an eye on.
Well, and that's why that visit to Clemson will be big. He comes to Clemson for the Texas A&M game, sees the environment there. Obviously, he's been to a lot of NC State games, seen the environment there. No comparison whatsoever between those two.
And his parents are coming with him to Clemson too. So
okay, so they'll get a good feel for that too.
So
that's three studs we thought we'd discuss here in this week's edition of TCI's RecruitCast. Stay tuned to TCI. Gavin will have stories flowing every day. We'll get closer to hopefully a commitment coming here in a couple weeks. And stay tuned to TCI for the most complete coverage of Clemson football and Clemson recruiting.